Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today for Speech 2500's final presentation project, the interview. Today I'm interviewing Thompson Rivers University's Dean of Students, Christine Adam. My name is Rita Langlands, and thank you, Christine, for joining me today.
Welcome.
So first off, you're an Interior girl born and raised. You've worked across Canada and you've come home again. So before joining TRU as Dean of Students, where did you work previously and how did it lead to your current role here at TRU?
I was at Carleton University basically all of my adult professional life. I did my master's there and was working while I did my master's part-time, and then I kept working there. So I worked as I did a whole bunch of things when I started at Carleton, mainly teaching ESL initially and some international student recruitment, and then I became a webmaster for a while for the Center for Applied Language Studies. And then ultimately my first sort of real job was as a faculty member teaching in a program that provided access for non-traditional students to the university. So we did programs for women in the community who wanted to go to university, programs for retirees in the community who wanted to keep up with lifelong learning. And our largest program was actually with students who didn't meet the academic requirements for the university. It was like a qualifying year program. And then from there I moved into being the assistant dean of the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, where I ran all the first year programming. So I ran learning communities for about 600 students each year, and then first year seminar courses for the entire incoming cohort, which was 2,000 students each year. So I taught, I ran the programs, but I also interacted with all of the other units that supported students, counseling and career ed and the first year experience office. And so that has fed really nicely into the job I do now.
So very diversified. So you're also avid on Twitter, and that's how you and I connect all the time. And you first began your role, you even did a blog that I found, which was really, really cool. So do you believe that social media is kind of the way to connect with students? Do you think that's like the #1 way to like engage them and really start a conversation with them is through social media, like Twitter and Facebook and blogs?
I think it is right now. I think part of my job is to try to keep up with you guys. And so I started the blog. I found it a bit onerous and to sit down and write something that lengthy, so Twitter's fit in really nicely. Definitely. When I first came, I opened up my Facebook and started connecting with people on Facebook, and then I felt like I needed to separate my private life from my personal life. So I won't add students on Facebook, but I still like all sorts of TRU things, so it helps me to stay on top of those things. But Twitter's the main way I find that I send out messages right now, and also just follow interesting things that are going on in the country in post-secondary. But I know that may change too. So, you know, I had colleagues who said to me the other day, "What, Twitter, like, now we're all supposed to switch to that?" And I said, well, you know, 10 years ago.
Well, in MySpace, I guess, 10 years ago.
But 10 years ago you were having to shift to emailing your students from, you know, other forms of communication. So we're constantly having to shift, and it's, I think, one of those instances where staff and faculty feel like they're behind. You know, we're trying to keep up with the students, and we just want to communicate really well.
So, in your opinion, what do you think TRU students consider most important for a university today? Having talked to them and tweeting them and...
I think it comes from what I see, meaningfulness, that what you're studying means something, whether it's for a future job prospect or whether it's for connecting with better with your family. I think some people go into certain fields like perhaps social work and because they want to provide meaning to their community and they want to contribute in that way. And so I think that, or they're studying animal health technology because they have a love of animals and that brings meaning to their life. So I think it's meaningfulness if I wanted to sort of cast it about generically. But perhaps if I were to ask students individually or in the conversations I have with them, it gets expressed a little bit differently than that.
So focusing in specifically on student engagement, where do you see that going in 5 years from now at TRU?
I see it going in and out of the classroom almost seamlessly. So I've said this before, I think a lot of times we've talked about there being two sides of the house. There's the academic side of the house, and then student services or student engagement side of the house, or student life, campus life. And I think there's been a great deal of growth in this campus life student services side that recognizes that it's part of the academic mission, and that if students feel connected and they feel welcome and they feel supported, they do well in their courses. But I think in recognizing that, the student affairs professionals have realized that they have to make arguments that make sense to academics, and so they have to do research on what they do and the meaningfulness of what they do and the impact of what they do. And I think that that's gone a long ways in the last 10 years, perhaps in Canada, and much longer in the US. We're always a little bit delayed in how we pick things up here. But so going forward over 5 years, I think that conversation back and forth will get clearer, and the value that there's great value to the student affairs side from the academic side. And actually the provost fellows are a great example of that, where our provost fellow for student engagement, Mohammed Mabobi, will provide really good research insights and grounding for our student engagement team. It's really neat. And I think in many institutions in the past, and even now at some institutions, that access to a faculty member from someone who organizes a leadership program or runs an orientation event would be almost unheard of. So it's something that's really neat about TRU.
Do you think that would be your advice to give to all TRU students?
Is to chill out. Just to enjoy the learning. And I think some people think that that's maybe just too indulgent, like, oh, they're just these students sitting around talking about philosophy, that sort of thing. But, you know, you've got this period in life where you can just really enjoy what you're learning. I don't get to do that every day anymore. I work hard to find those moments, but life changes in this really precious period of your life where you can just learn things and really enjoy it and enjoy the people you're learning it with. I think it's advice everyone should sort of pay heed to.
No, that's definitely great advice. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today and helping me do the interview, and we look forward to the future of TRU. Awesome.